It's Brian Preston, the Money Guy.
Jakester said, I bought a 20-year term life policy at age 30 for 10 times salary. You must listen to the Money Guy show. Now, at age 40, with a 9-year-old kid, and my salary is doubled. Do I get a brand new 20-year policy for the same amount, or do I ladder it somehow? How do I think about changing my life insurance as my financial and life circumstances change as I age? I added that last part, but that's what he's asking.
I think this is actually, it's amazing how your brain just goes through multiple scenarios. It's really a twofold question. I mean, I would first, because here's the unique thing about term life insurance. It was a great deal when you were 30 years of age, but you'd be surprised that, now I'd be curious to know if the pandemic impacted insurance tables and so forth, but historically even though you've gotten older, insurance was getting cheaper and cheaper. Mm-hmm. So you've got a little bit of homework. Did you say Jakester?
Jakester, that's his name.
Jakester, you got a little bit of homework in the first in the part. First of all, don't go cancel your 20-year term that you bought when you were 30. That needs to keep rolling in the background while you're doing your due diligence and research. But you might want to do this as a multiple prong approach in the fact that I would first go price out what is the additional insurance you need to, because you make more money, you have maybe more kids or whatever the scenario. Go price out just how much more insurance you need based upon how life has changed from the time you were 30 to 40 years of age. That's going to be one premium quote that you'll get. The second one's going to be, hey, what if I just reset the whole thing? If I add both policies up, what would that cost to just reset the term on that 20-year term? And then you can compare apples to apples. Maybe it makes sense to go buy a $2 million one policy, or maybe it just makes sense to, on top of that $500,000 or $1 million, whatever you bought originally, put another $1 million on top of it. That's the math. It's going to come down to the mathematics after you do your research of getting those quotes.
One thing that I've been amazed by, and I may be misremembering this, but Brian, I think when you turned 40, we walked through this whole exercise, right? Because same thing had happened. You had kids and circumstances and change. We were trying to figure out your life insurance stuff. And we did the whole exercise like, man, that 20-year, am I remembering this right? You said that 20-year was really, really inexpensive. I wonder what a 30-year policy
I was 37 years
37,
of age.
So we weren't quite 40 yet. One of the things people don't realize is you can actually change, when we say term, people often get married to, that means a 20-year term. That's not always the case. You can buy 10-year term policies, 20-year term policies, 30-year term policies. So you might find if you are in really good health and you get a really advantageous health rating and the premiums aren't incredibly expensive relative to your financial situation, you may say, you know what, at 40, I'm going to go ahead and get a 30-year policy because odds are that's going to take me not just to financial independence, but well into financial independence. And then I always have the option that I can drop it at some point in the future. Am I remembering that
No,
right?
because here's the thing, and I don't mind. This is like I said, I'm the tangent guy. I got that policy, and I just, you're right. The 20-year term was so cheap. I was like, I want to know what a 30-year term. And when they offered me the rate, I was like, you know what? Just as a gift to myself, because realize I come from a household where my dad passed away at 55, my grandfather passed away at 50, because there's all kind of heart conditions and other weird things in my family history. But I'm very proactive with trying to do the biohacking, the way I do the fasting. And so when they offered me this policy that would take me to age 67, I bought it. Because, guys, I got to tell you, in this a non-financial feeling, I mean, it was probably about 3 weeks to a month that I just walked around on cloud nine because I was like,
good.
Man, there's somebody that thinks I'm going to live to be 67 years of age, and they actually are financially pot committed that they gave me this policy. So, I mean, there is something, there's a lot to take into consideration with insurance and including underwriting risk and so forth. But I think the things I just told Jakester on it's a two-prong research, but also do take into account those other elements that I just mentioned. What is your life expectancy? What does your family history look like? All that comes into play. But the biggest thing is making sure while you don't have assets that will replace your income, because that's the value of insurance, is that you left sooner than you anticipated and your family or loved ones still needed the resources that you were supposed to provide them. That's the backfill support that life insurance is supposed to provide. There is going to come a point. It's just like at age 65. Am I going to need that term life insurance? No, I'm not going to need it at 55. But That's the other thing. And I'm going way deeper on this. You don't just let those policies go away either, because because realize the way insurance works is it overcharges you while you're young, and then it's undercharging you while you're old, but you're getting the benefit. The insurance company's kind of filling the void for you. So if you are in your late 50s or mid 60s and you still have life insurance, if it's term, you don't just let it go. You might just want to let it play out all the way to the end of its term, because you're actually getting some benefit from the cost of benefit of what you're paying in insurance dollars. You're getting more protection financially.
And you said this at the beginning, but it's worth just repeating very quickly. Never cancel a life insurance policy until you have a new policy in place. We've seen this before where someone got their renewal notice and they thought, oh man, I don't lose money, so I'm just going to let that policy cancel and then I'll go get new insurance next month.
No.
Well, you never know what could happen. Maybe you had a doctor's appointment you forgot about 4 years ago that put something on your record that affected your rating for insurance. Never cancel old policies until you have the new policy in place, if that's the decision that you make.